All right, welcome to today's show. So I'm going to jump into Strategy's $84 billion plan. We're going to talk about their earnings report after Q1 and why they showed a unrealized loss, but at the same time, they're showing a Bitcoin gain. So how could they show billions in loss, but also show a Bitcoin gain? And that's kind of whacked, and I'm going to break it down. And then the third thing, we're going to talk about Saylor as he talks about the significance of a $10 million Bitcoin. And we're also going to talk about a lot of money that could be pouring into Bitcoin ETFs in the future and what that could do for Strategy's price. So let's jump in right now. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice, just entertainment on this show only. Do your own research. But here we go. Let's jump in right now. So the Q1 report just came out. We know the news was massive. It's kind of trending across the internet right now. But what's very interesting about it is that Saylor, when he reports and looks at how Bitcoin's doing this year on Strategy's balance sheet, as of April 28th, they made a $5.8 billion in Bitcoin gains this year. So there's a gain this year for Strategy, and we're going to break that down. And they raised their Bitcoin yield target from 15% to 25%. So what does that actually mean? I'm going to break it down in just a minute of how that works. And they also doubled their capital plan. So we know before they had a plan of 21 billion. Now they've raised that to $84 billion is their plan in terms of a capital plan to buy Bitcoin. $42 billion is going to come from stock, and $42 billion is going to come from their other fixed income plays that they've been using up until this point. So in Q1 alone, let's break down what actually happened. But here's the part that people really need to wake up to of what's going on with Strategy. When Bitcoin goes up, so does Strategy's stock price. Now, we all know this. We've been watching this. Sometimes it goes up by 2x to 3x. And it goes up way more than Bitcoin itself. So what does Saylor do when he's talking about increasing Bitcoin yield? What does that actually mean, and why is that good for you? And this is the whole concept of, Saylor issues new shares and he dilutes the shares, but he's not actually hurting the shareholders when he's doing that. He's actually helping the shareholders. So what does he actually do? When the price goes up, he strikes while the iron is hot. So what that means is he says the stock's flying up. Let's sell a few new shares while it's expensive, meaning the stock's way up. So if his stock's way up, he gets to sell or issue more shares. And when he issues more shares at that actual stock price that's high, that means people are paying a lot of money for Strategy shares. And so he gets a ton of cash when he issues new shares when Bitcoin is up and his stock price is up. That's his game. And so he gets a ton of new cash to go and buy more Bitcoin. And here's the brilliant part. He takes the extra cash from the new shares that he just issued at a very high stock price, and he buys more Bitcoin with it. And because he raised so much money without diluting too much, every shareholder now owns more Bitcoin per share. I'm going to say that one more time because it's an important point. Because he raised so much money, remember, the stock's way up. This is his play. Stock goes up, he issues more shares, gets a whole bunch of cash. So because he raised so much money at the high stock price without diluting too much in shares and doing that, every shareholder, which means everybody who owns Strategy, now owns more Bitcoin per share. And that's the actual magic of the model. So that's what he calls Bitcoin yield. So when you're hearing the talk about Bitcoin yield going from 15% to 25%, this is very good if you own the stock or I own the stock. All the shareholders are on the stock. This is great because he's now going to get more Bitcoin per share for all of us. And the target this year has been raised from 15% to 25% increase in Bitcoin per share. And if he keeps doing this over time, that means those who own shares get more and more and more Bitcoin per the shares that you own, meaning you own the stock, the shares that you own. And that's how the model works. So anytime you see this or you hear this in the marketplace, like he's diluting the shares, yeah, but it's good for you if you own the stock. It's really, 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 really good because you're getting more Bitcoin per share. And that's the whole point. And he's doing it and scooping up more Bitcoin. And yeah, he's using the hype, right? Like when a run goes and the stock goes way up, that's when he hits it. And he's like, boom, we're going to issue more shares because we can issue at that time, because the stock price is so high, we can issue less shares than we would need to typically because the stock price is high and people will pay more money. So he gets a whole bunch of cash, buys Bitcoin, does it without touching, without raising, your taxes, without touching your wallet. Like he's doing this and it's smart. And it's the closest thing to getting free Bitcoin that exists. And that's why Strategy's a freaking winner. And he's turning the stock market demand into more digital gold. And so that's the gist of how he actually plays this game and how he actually wins the game big. And that's the one thing that we want to understand as we see this throughout the year of the $42 billion plan, 84 billion, 42 billion of that's going to be stock. So it's incredibly powerful what he's actually doing, and he continues to do it. All right. Now, if you look at the recent reports of Strategy's Q1 report, and it came out, of course, he issues this big plan to buy 84 billion more in Bitcoin. But at the same time, when you look at the company, they show an unrealized loss in their Q1 report of $5.9 billion. And then they show a net loss of $4.2 billion approximately. So you're looking at like, how can the Bitcoin gain go up year to date? And the quarterly report shows a loss. Well, the unrealized loss just means it's on paper, number one. Okay, that's the first thing to know. The second thing is when they're tracking, it's just weird freaking accounting. So when they're tracking this loss, they're only looking at the 90 days, January, February, March. So what he just reported on May 2nd or whatever the date was, he's only looking at the Q1 report of January, February, March. So that's how the accounting rules look. So as of the end on March 31st, they're looking at how much Bitcoin they bought in those 90 days, what price point they bought it at. And we know that Saylor bought a lot of Bitcoin in the 90,000, 92,000, 95,000. And then during that 90 days, it dropped down to 82,000. And so in the quarter, the way the accounting works, which is whacked, but I do understand it because they're not tracking and looking at the average price that Strategy has picked Bitcoin up at, which is $67,000. So if you were looking at that, you'd look at $67,000 of the average purchase price of Bitcoin for Strategy. It was around 82,000 or whatever when we ended in March 31st. That would be a gain, but they're only looking at the quarter. And in the quarter, since he was buying Bitcoin high during that quarter around 90,000, and then it closed at whatever it closed at below 82 or around 82, there's a loss on paper just for that quarter. So when the quarterly report comes out, it's like $5.9 billion of loss. This is weird. And then out of the same side of the mouth, the different side of the mouth, you've got Saylor going, well, we now have a $5.8 billion Bitcoin gain this year, right? As of April 28th. So, of course, you look at the price now as of, let's say, May 1st, May 2nd, May 3rd, the price is now back up to 97,000. So he's looking at it from a different lens, which is the appropriate lens of where are we in present time. But the quarterly report that comes out March 31st is looking at it from a totally different lens of just those 90 days. And the accounting rules are a little bit whacked on the way they operate and the way they report. So is the news bullish? Extremely bullish. And the really good news from this report is that typically when they come out with bad earnings, in terms of like on paper, the stock market responds and the stock goes down. But in this case, even though the earnings look bad, people are catching on to go, oh my God, we understand Strategy's playbook of what they're doing right now. And obviously we've seen that the Strategy stock broke 400 this week and they're just bullish indicators for the stock. So it's just freaking amazing to watch what's going on. It's powerful. And now if you look at Bitcoin, it's probably around $96,000 and whatever Strategy closed that on Friday. So that's the basic gist. Quick, look at when Bitcoin hits $100,000. There is a little whale alert going on here just to pay attention to. I just thought it was interesting news. A big crypto whale just moved 3,289 Bitcoin to Coinbase. That's $318 million. It usually means they're getting ready to sell. And sometimes when there's a big sale on something like that, in terms of $318 million, it could shake up the market a little bit. So I don't know. Are we going to hit 100,000 this week? Maybe. If a big whale sell at 100,000 price point, might it drop a little bit? Could be. But in the long term, not financial advice, but I'm bullish as hell on this whole deal. Okay. So we're getting close to the magic number of $100,000. Here's what Saylor says. I'll read you his quote. He says, by the time your financial advisor says it's okay to buy Bitcoin, it'll be $1 million. When they say it's a good idea, it'll be 10 million. Okay. I'm going to read it again because it's classic. By the time your financial advisor says it's okay to buy Bitcoin, it'll be $1 million. When they say it's a good idea, it'll be $10 million. So the advisors are way behind on this. And let's look at kind of the $50 trillion wall on the fact that most advisors aren't really on board yet, and most institutions aren't fully on board yet of having people and their clients buy Bitcoin through these ETFs. And I'm going to give you some data here that's really fascinating. So when you look at it, the $50 trillion wall, you have Charles Schwab, you have Fidelity, you have Wells Fargo, they all allow Bitcoin ETFs, okay, to be purchased. And so when you look at it and you add up the funds that exist there and the potential, there's like $19 trillion, right? That's not in the Bitcoin ETFs yet. That's potential, right? Then you have like another in these large financial companies of like $20.9 trillion that's restricted. It means there's rules, there's limits, there's red tape of what you can do and what their clients can and can't do. So there's limits to what can be done. And then you have another $10.3 trillion that's totally blocked. Meaning like firms like Vanguard say, no, clients can't buy it. Edward Jones, no, can't buy it. Citibank, no, can't buy it. So you literally have a block on it. That's not going to last for long. They're just like thick in the head, right? It's not going to last for long. Eventually, that's going to open up. So when this $50 trillion wall opens up, what is the possibility for Bitcoin? Even a 1% allocation of some of that money that I talked about is $312 billion into potential Bitcoin ETFs. A 5% allocation means $1.56 trillion into Bitcoin. That's a game changer. All right. So at the end of the day, we take a look at this and what's going on and what are the indicators for Bitcoin? What are the indicators for strategy? The indicators are pretty freaking amazing. They're stellar. All right. The indicators for Bitcoin are stellar. And more good news is pouring into the space. And I think we're going to go on this rocket ride this year, and I'm excited. So I hope you're excited as well. Not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice, but I hope it serves you and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to get the 2-minute market updates, I have a new platform called MGame. You can click the link down below. You can get free access to it. It's not released yet. So when it is, we will release it and you'll get updates on things like Bitcoin, strategy, other picks that I have. That's also not financial advice. It's just educational of what's going on. And my AI will pop up and give you updates throughout the day, like 90-second sound bites. Here's what's happening with Bitcoin. Here's what's happening with strategy. Here's a fun fact. Here's a future outlook. So if you want to get in the game, get in the M game, the money game, made easy, made simple, 5th grade level, and still get really relevant data, you can click that link and snag it. Okay. Hope it serves you guys. I'll be seeing you very, very soon. And I hope you're excited about the future of what's going on here. Click down below. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the like button. And also leave some comments below when I end this stream because I'm streaming on multiple platforms. I'll see you on the other side. I hope you guys do well.